Alright guys, I hope you guys are all doing great. Today we're in my house and we're sat down, we're doing a Q&A. So recently I posted on my Instagram, ask me some questions and I'll answer them on a YouTube video. So what I've done is we've handpicked a few out. I'm gonna have my boy Ananth reading them out to me and I'm gonna answer them for you guys today.
How do you avoid procrastination?
How do I avoid procrastination? That's a very good question. It's a very simple answer, to be honest. I think I've gotten to a point where I'm very conscious with how I'm doing everything. If I notice I'm in a state of like scrolling constantly, I'm very conscious of that. And to be honest, what I tell myself, as stupid as it sounds, I actually tell myself, you can procrastinate later. I procrastinate the procrastinating, and it actually works really well. So yeah, to answer that question, I just tell myself I can procrastinate later.
How do you break bad habits?
How do you break bad habits? To be honest, like now, I don't really have any bad habits anymore, but I used to, so I have to have found a way to break them, right? And the number one way that I found to break habits was to add friction to the habits. I'll give you an example. I used to play a lot of video games and I used to live on Fortnite. So what I did was I had my table right beside it and I had my keyboard and everything set up there, which made it so easy to access it. There was no friction or resistance in playing video games. So what I did to kind of get over that, I kind of knew I needed to spend less time on it and focus on other things. So what I did to kind of get over that was I'd put my keyboard and my mouse somewhere else and I moved my table to another corner of the room so it's not right beside the Xbox looking at my screen anymore. So the big thing to break a bad habit is add friction, add resistance to that bad habit. Make it harder for you to indulge in that habit, if that makes sense. Next question.
What are your daily habits in order? So like, what's your daily routine?
What is my daily routine? That's a very good question. Now, to be honest with you guys, I don't really even have a daily routine anymore. I found that having a very strict routine, like you do this at this time, you do this at this time, you pray at this time, you meditate at this time, I found that it was very unsustainable and I found that almost mentally I was burning out by following routine like that. So what I did to change that was, instead of having strict times to do everything, I kind of just write out everything I need to do. So every single day, I have a set of non-negotiables that I need to do, and it doesn't matter when throughout the day I do it, just that by the end of the day, I have done everything. That in no specific order is, so I pray, I meditate, I read. So I read the Bible, I read my book, and then I check up on my clients every single day. And then I also do at least 2 hours of deep work, working on benefiting the business in some way. As you can see, I could just set out times for me to do that every single day, but I found it a lot better to be able to be like, I have to do all of this, but I don't have to do it at a set time. I just have to get it done. In saying that, a lot of you guys who procrastinate badly will leave everything to the end of the day, and then you guys will end up not even doing it, right? What I've learned is to just do the hardest things first. There's nothing I hate more in my day than reading a damn book. I can tell you it bores me to death. So you know what I do? It's the first thing I do because it makes every other task after look a lot easier. So to answer the question, I don't really have a daily routine I follow. I just set a bunch of non-negotiables for myself and make sure I do those before the end of every single day.
How much did you first bench when you started going to the gym?
How much did I first bench when I started going to the gym? To be honest, I don't really know the specific number, but I'd say I think the first time I ever walked into the gym, I benched 55 kilos, which is like 120 pounds, except I didn't even get it to like my chest, right? It was like a half rep. And I remember there were these other kids that are my good friends now. They were telling me like, oh, you know you need to go all the way to the chest. And I was like, nah, it's more optimal like this. So I was like half repping it with 120 pounds. So I think that was my max when I started. You guys can probably see, even from that, the fact that the first time I ever stepped into the gym, I could almost bench a plate was kind of foreshadowing that I was gonna end up here almost, because I had very good genetics from the start. I just had to capitalize on it, right?
How long have you been training for, even if it wasn't proper or consistent? So when's the first time to now when you stepped into the gym first?
Right, so I'm coming up to about 3 years of training now. I actually started training when we got out of like COVID lockdown in 2021. I'd say about November 2021 is when I started training, but swimming was my priority up until about October 2022. So my whole first year of training, it was very inconsistent. I was kind of just going in, hitting whatever I wanted, and swimming was the priority. I was swimming 6-7 times a week. I was competing very often in the pool until October 2022. I kind of came to terms. I was like, I don't really like swimming anymore, but I like benching and I like going to the gym. So I'm gonna take that route instead. So from October 2022 is when I started the powerlifting arc. So it's been about 2 years of powerlifting now. We've ended up here.
How do you stay consistent?
How do I stay consistent? I feel like consistency comes down to your underlying motives. If your underlying motives are strong enough, then you'll never struggle with consistency, if that makes sense. For example, if your goal is like retiring your parents, right? That's one of my goals. If you ever don't feel like waking up in the morning, then you are disrespecting them by doing that. There's one quote from Conor McGregor that I really like. I believe it reads, "Your lack of commitment is an insult to the people that believe in you." There are a lot of people that believe in you. There are a lot of people that also prey on your downfall. And by you being lazy, you are insulting the people that have faith in you to succeed. And you're also proving the people that doubt you right.
All right, next question. Did swimming transfer over to powerlifting?
Did swimming transfer over to powerlifting? To be honest, I think yes. A lot of the elite lifters our age all have some sort of athletic background. Wrestling, swimming, and rugby, like footy. I think it definitely did, and you could even see in my baseline physique photos, like my shoulders were so out of proportion. They were already like, I'd been training for like 5-6 months. Swimming definitely helped, but once I started getting into the gym more, swimming was holding me back, which is why I had to quit. Me personally, my kids are going into the pool before they can even walk. I'm trying to give them these genetics again. I think just any sport that is somewhat physically demanding can positively translate into the gym. It doesn't just have to be swimming.
How do you manage recovery, especially with such a high training volume?
If I'm being honest with you guys, lately I haven't been managing recovery very well. I like to say that you need to be sleeping, especially if you're a teenager, at least 8 hours a night to get optimal recovery. Me, myself, I have not slept 8 hours in probably been a couple months now. I've been very focused on other things, but from a recovery standpoint, the best ways to actually recover is by one, doing active recovery. Swimming is a very good example of that. Say you worked out chest, shoulder, triceps yesterday, you go into the pool the day after, it feels very sore while you're swimming, but the next day you get up in the morning, you're not sore at all. And then secondly, obviously eating good food, that's not rocket science, right? If you're eating Maccas after your workout, how can you expect to recover quickly? You can't really come to me asking for recovery tips if you're eating like shit, you're sleeping like shit. You put that on yourself. There's no like, you do this one thing for 5 minutes and you'll instantly recover the next day. Recovery always comes down to the same 3 concepts, which is, for me, active recovery, nutrition, and then sleep.
What does a day in the life look like for you? Balancing training, work, and personal life.
Hey, my days change every day. One thing I do like to do is every night I plan my next day ahead. There are things that can go wrong, and then, you know, sometimes your day doesn't go exactly as planned, but I do plan all my days beforehand. As I said, I have my non-negotiables. That does not change any day at all, but just a regular day in my life really looks like I just get up in the morning, have a coffee, I read, I pray, I meditate, blah, blah, blah. I do all of that stuff. And then usually after that, I'll just, you know, head off to the gym. I'll come back home from the gym. I'll check up on my clients. I'll do everything I need to do. Like, as I said, I plan out my days, so I know what I need to do. And it's very good having it like that. So your life's almost structured. Say if you're gonna do a deep work session tomorrow, right? But you don't actually know what you're gonna work on. You're gonna get there and you're gonna spend half your deep work session finding something to work on. Yeah, pretty simple.
What are your thoughts on relationships while being so focused on your goals?
Relationships. Well, I think you can look at it from a multifaceted standpoint. Like, I used to think that relationships, they were just all bad news, just the girls would fully deter you from your goals, etc, etc. The way I kind of view things is that a good girl will build you up and a bad girl will tear you down. I can give a good example of this in my own personal experience. I got very comfortable, I got very complacent because obviously it's my fault that I let it get to that, but it got to a point where she was like seeing me every single day. I wasn't getting any work done and I wasn't following any sort of routine at all. I was just so lazy and so comfortable because of what she was giving me was like pleasurable in the moment, but I didn't realize the long-term effect that would have. On the flip side, I think a good girl, she can amplify how quickly you succeed almost. One of the strongest emotions or strongest desires that people feel, men and women, is the emotion of love, right? If you take that emotion of love and you start giving a girl all your time because of how you feel about her, then yeah, you're gonna become a lazy shit, you're gonna fail. But at the same time, if you take that emotion of love and you're like, I like this girl a lot, I want to give her everything, then you have a single one motive you need to do absolutely anything.
What's the hardest part about being a public figure at such a young age?
I feel like there's a lot of liabilities to obviously having a decent amount of followers at my age. A big thing that was hard for me to overcome, at least, was that the fact that I was preaching self-improvement this, self-improvement that, in the middle of such a degenerate and lost generation. I feel like that was the big thing that was very hard to overcome for me. The feeling that I didn't really belong with everyone else that was around me, because obviously school, extracurricular sports, all of these guys are going to parties on the weekend and I'm staying home and working, you know. I think if you ever want to get into like social media at this sort of age, you gotta be able to overcome that, because everyone just wants to fit in. And it's very hard to overcome that feeling of wanting to fit in and that feeling of being rejected because you're different. But if you learn to embrace that, I think being different and being unique can absolutely be a superpower. And that's the way I see it, at least, because for a long time, I was clinging on to my old self. I was like, every now and then I'd go to parties and I tell myself, oh, you know, you can balance it. You can go to parties with these people and you can still work hard. But the truth is, there is no balance. You either fall towards one side or you fall towards the other side. Anyways, guys, that is it for today. I hope I answered the more useful questions you guys had, because a lot of the comments I was kind of getting was just like, when am I oiling up? I think if I answered that on this, it wouldn't really be a helpful video. Anyways, if you guys do want to see another video like this, please comment that down below. Also, like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. I'm gonna leave you guys to it. I hope you guys all have a good day. Stay blessed.